Of course, if you guys are on the website there at Star City Games, you guys can check out the top 8 list. They should be up now. We're going to be up momentarily for you guys, so you can see Jacob's exact 75. This deck is a Reanimator deck, but it also does a little funky stuff here with being able to kill you with Storm, with Tendrils of Agony. It does some interesting things here, so it's pretty cool.
And Jason basically has a very interesting dredge deck. I mean, we saw it on camera, but you know, typical dredge game 1 can board into the Enlightened Tutor Painting Service Grindstone package after board. So I think you know, game 1 again, Jacob's on the play, kind of favors him a little bit probably, but Jason again can get some pretty aggressive starts, and he does have the Flamekin Zealot, so Dread Return on that could theoretically just win him the game outright. So interesting to see how this matchup plays out, but I expect it to be quick and brutal.
And before we do get this matchup underway, as you see, Jason has presented his deck, and Jacob is shuffling up here. Both players are going to draw their 7 cards momentarily. Do want to update you guys very quickly on the 1-8 match between Joseph Luster and Barrett Kroger. In order to maintain the integrity of this event, Barrett Kroger was disqualified. In accordance with DCI policy, we will not be able to provide additional info at this time, but that is an official statement from our head judge along with our tournament organizer here. So for anyone wondering the results of that event, Joseph Luster is going to move on to the quarterfinals here. Again, we apologize for not being able to provide you guys with any additional information, but when we are able to, we certainly will do that. But again, congratulations to Joseph Luster moving on with Sneak and Show. He'll be playing the winner of this match that's on camera between Jason Bulkowski and Jacob Kory.
And yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see. You know, I think whoever wins this match, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Sneak and Show can actually deal with how quickly some of these decks can win. Because again, Sneak and Show is one of those decks that can win quickly, but it does give up a little bit of its speed for more permission, you know, whereas Jacob and Jason are basically all-in decks, you know. So definitely be interested to see that matchup, regardless whether or not it's Dredge or Tin Fins.
And Tin Fins, again, you said that you guys did watch Jacob earlier, winning on turn 2 both games. This deck is incredibly explosive with the things that it can do. Really the only deck that's taking full advantage of Entomb right now. You know, we have seen Reanimator decks in the past have a lot of success. Jerry Thompson topping an Invitational with the deck. Reed Duke winning in Star City Games Open Series on the East Coast with the deck. There was a 1-point legacy where people thought this was the deck to beat by a lot. It's talking about previous Reanimator strategies, but this one is the brand new one that people are playing. You see 4 Entombs, 4 Shallow Graves, 3 copies of Goryo's Vengeance. I have a feeling our director is going to be a little bit busy bringing up some of these cards on the screen for you guys. Yeah. Even a card like Children of Corliss, which, hey, not a lot of people don't know what that did unless they drafted that set. I believe that was Time Spiral Block.
Yeah, it was pretty absurd in the match on the camera. Literally, almost every card Jacob cast, he had to slide across the table to allow his opponent to read it, because you know, a lot of cards that you don't typically see in Legacy these days. But a very powerful deck, one of the more fun decks to see too, just because it can win so quickly and it just looks so powerful. Like so when it gets going, you know, it just seems like it looks like the best deck in the format. Like when I was watching on the camera, it's like, why wouldn't everybody play this deck? It's just so insane. But again, I think it's one of those decks where the more people are kind of aware of what's going on, maybe they'll sort of start adapting their sideboards a little bit more. Clearly, Jacob's deck right now is really taking advantage of like a hole in the metagame where people just aren't prepared enough or aren't packing enough Graveyard hate. So really opportune tournament for him to play this deck, and interesting to see how it evolves the metagame going forward.
As you are going to see Jacob here Entomb. On Jason's turn, he's going to cast Shallow Grave right away, so he's going to go get Gristlebrand. And this is one of the things that this deck can do here. Shallow Grave,
sure enough,
Shallow Grave is going to be read by Jason. We're going to bring it up. And what Jason doesn't know is that he might be dead actually right now.
Yeah, and it's so funny to see how combo Magic has changed, because I remember when one of the best quote-unquote combo decks was Illusions Donate.
Sure.
Because everyone was so excited that it was only a 2-mana combo and it's basically only 7 mana. This is a 2-mana, 3-mana, a 2-card 3-mana combo.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy how explosive these combo decks can be these days. And a card like Grizzlebrand, really just one of the most powerful cards they've made in the past 10 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about maybe this card needing a possible ban. That kind of slowed down a little bit. But, you know, if this deck is the real deal, as you do see Jacob bring it back into play with Shallow Grave, drawing 7 cards right away here, then, you know, it might be under consideration again. And the funny thing here for Jason is that, you know, Jason's off to a pretty good start here. He had a turn 1 Careful Study, discarded a Golgari Thug, and a Bridge from Below. So his Dredge deck is already starting to get working. And you know that turn 2 is pretty much the turn where Dredge really goes into overdrive. So for Jacob to be able to just entomb right away because he's on the play, and now cast Shallow Grave, get Gristleman into play, and start drawing cards, 14 of them to be exact, as he's probably looking for a Lotus Petal here, is pretty insane.
Looks like he has a Chrome Mox. Looks like he also has a Ritual here. Again, Entomb, if he has a Shallow Grave as well, usually he'll go for a Children of Corlos, which allow him to draw an additional 14 cards because he's able to gain all the life that he lost this turn. So yeah, that's the exact sequence of cards that we saw him do on camera last time. And yeah, I mean, to your point, Griselbrand, when it's going like this, it just looks like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And granted, I'm not sure if it's bannable just yet. Maybe, you know, Wizards is sort of happy with this type of combo deck existing.
Sure.
But I'll tell you, if Griselbrand was blue, not only would it be banned, it would literally be, they would burn every copy in existence, I think. So interesting to see what Watsy's reaction is to this Tin Fins deck if it continues to just grow in popularity. Because again, this is the 3rd time we've seen him win on turn 2 on camera, and fairly easily too. Like not even, no difficulty whatsoever. So
yeah, assuming he has the turn 2 kill wrapped up here, as you do see him in Dark Ritual Entomb for Children of Corliss, which we'll bring up on the screen for you guys in just a moment. Cast Shallow Grave and get that. Yeah, we'll bring that up on the screen for you guys. So it looks like we're trying to figure out exactly what's going on here. He shortcutted a little bit here. Okay, so yeah, there's your Children of Corliss. So he's shuffling his deck, getting the graveyard in the proper order here. And it says you gain life equal to the life you've lost this turn. Interesting. So I'll gain 14 life and draw 14 more cards.
Well, he also sacked the land to Polluted Delta.
Oh, excuse me.
So he lost life there. He also has Gataxian Probes. So,
sure.
You know, he's going to gain all that life right back if he wants.
So you're going to see Griselbrand come across because haste is a powerful thing.
Yeah. So he's going to gain 7 life. Oh, is the Children in play?
Yeah, I can't tell because he shortcutted everything really quickly and he was playing super fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. So because I imagine he would have attacked with the Children too, if he.
Okay, so Children's currently not in play.
So was there a timing issue? Okay, so Jacob attacks for 7, gains 7, and then draws 7, so he remains at 5. Has a Lotus Petal. So I'm not sure if maybe there's a timing issue with how he cast all the cards.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused.
But again, he drew 21 cards this turn, so
that's certainly not going to be enough.
We'll see if he's still able to win, despite the fact that he wasn't able to get Children of Corlos in play. He has at least 1 Ritual in his hand. He has another Shallow Grave. He should be in good shape.
Yeah, you see 3 Dark Rituals in his hand right now.
Also can win with Tendrils.
Yep. So you see Gataxian Probe here. Going to reveal the goods. Jason hoping he's going to get an extra turn as Jacob does move down to looks like 3.
And can we get a ruling from the floor as to why Children are going to get into play?
Yeah, we're going to get that in from our
So we'll get that, here. But it looks like he's still going to try to go off here with probably just a Tendrils route, which I believe he has enough spells in the stack, with Jason only at 13.
Yeah.
He only needs 7 spells, and I think he's well above that.
Yeah, it sure doesn't hurt that Griselbrand does get to attack. You see Dark Ritual.
6 mana.
You see Tendrils of
and
Agony.
Tendrils, so Jason loses.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Yeah, so, you know, really, really powerful deck that attacks you from multiple different angles, so...
Okay, so he cast things out of order. He just simply went too fast,
okay.
and Jason basically called him on it. So, hey, so be it. You're still dead. No hard feelings.
Yeah, so looks like Jacob might have been a little too enthusiastic about his draw that turn. But again, you know, when you're drawing 21 cards, you're going to find a way to win, even if you make a small mistake. So
bold statement.
Bold statement.
Very bold.
Going out on a limb here.
Yeah. we're going to cut back to the booth here for you guys really quickly. Reason being, of course, is it's time to give away premium. It's time to give away It's time to give away those 3 months because it is the quarterfinals here of our Legacy Open. Pretty simple game if you've never played before. We're going to ask you guys a question. You guys will tweet us the answer with the hashtag of SCG Premium. We will choose one of the people that does get it correct. It is not a race, of course. It's more about getting it right.
Yeah.
As it should be. And once we select one of those people who did get it right, we'll give you the recipient 3 months of premium.
And please, again, don't use the internet to search for the answer.
We beg, no cheating.
Honor code.
Yeah, I know the questions are really, really hard. We just ask that you don't cheat. That's all. And it's time for that difficult question, which of course is, in Jacob Kory's Tin Fins deck, there is a white creature that he did not cast correctly in that game. And if you're able to name that white card from, I believe, I'm pretty sure it's Time Spiral.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Time Spiral. You will be the recipient of 3 months of premium. Again, there is a white creature, 2 copies of it in Jacob Kory's Tin Fin deck. Works out pretty well with Gristlebrand, among other cards in his deck. He actually ended up casting his spells a little bit too quickly, wasn't able to use that properly that game, but if you can't name it, we will be selecting one person who does get it correct and giving you 3 months of premium. So here's a little wiffle ball. You're welcome. Enjoy the premium, if you can get it right. Taking a look at the sideboards here. So I think, for Jason, wants to probably play more than one turn.
Yeah.
But anything that can help him in the deck list that you have in front of you.
And again, he has total access to Jacob's sideboard, so he knows what his plan is. Again, not sure he wants to bring in the Painter Servant Grindstone combo. He's facing 3 surgical extractions likely. I don't really see Jacob bringing in anything else. Surgical Extraction is probably the only card he really needs to slow down Jason enough for his combo to come off. So, yeah, I think Jason's probably going to keep his main deck as is, just because it's a little more consistent than the Painter Servant. As we saw earlier, he wasn't always able to draw the parts of the combo that he needs. But then again, maybe he thinks that it's just worth it because I need to try to win on turn 2.
Sure.
So it really, I don't. Whether or not Jason brings in that package basically depends on whether or not he thinks he has to try to get lucky, because I don't think he has to bring it in to worry about hate cards, because there's really not. Kory's doesn't have any Tormod's Crypts or Leyline of the Voids, which are typically the cards that Jason probably bring these cards in to counteract. So it's basically saying, I'm going to bring these in because I need to try to get lucky and win on turn 2 or something with the Lion's Eye Diamond.
Get lucky is an understatement, of course, because taking a look at Jacob's deck list, he does have 1 copy of Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, so trying to mill someone out when that's in their deck with Painted Grindstone actually just doesn't work. It reshuffles the entire thing, so get lucky would be the understatement of the year, as Jacob would actually have to draw his copy of Emrakul. So I imagine those cards staying home, maybe Unmask coming in to try to break up Jacob's deck and his hand a little bit, but I mean, looking at things here, Jacob's deck just feels like it's a full turn faster. Now, of course, Jason does have access to a card like Cabal Ritual, and Unmask will bring his discard up to 7 after sideboard, but I mean, taking a look at Jacob's deck here, he can't interact with Jason because, again, he does have those 3 copies of Surgical Extraction in his sideboard. He also has 2 copies of Chain of Vapor if he wants to try to go that route. 2 copies of Massacre to take care of those zombies if it ever comes down to that, because he actually can hard cast it via Dark Ritual. And even a card like Echoing Truth is something to consider, along with Piving Needle. So a lot of options here for Jacob. Not sure if he wants to dilute his deck any, but he definitely has options.
Yeah, because Jason doesn't have Icarid, a Surgical Extraction on the Bridge from Below is actually pretty huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, it looks like Jason's probably not going to bring in anything, maybe just Unmask to try to take out a Surgical Extraction. Not sure how good Bloodghast is for him. Again, he's going to try to attack really quickly and hope to reanimate a Flamekin Zealot to sort of attack Jacob for the kill. But yeah, it looks like Jacob just has a huge advantage here because the Surgical Extraction is just so powerful against Jason's particular build of Dredge. Yeah. We saw another earlier Dredge deck that played Icarid. It was able to fight through a Surgical Extraction just because, you get a couple guys in play, and then the Icarids just keep attacking every turn, and that's how Vidi Wijaya lost, because he was able to deal with the Bridge from Belows, but, again, there's just so many cards that you have to contend with, especially if your opponent's able to mill that significant portion of his deck. So let's see how aggressive Jason mulligans this game.
And we are getting a tweet for you guys interacting at home. We always do appreciate it. You can join us via Twitter at SCG Live and hashtag your tweets with SCGVegas. Josh Bingaman says that the point of Tin Fin's design was to get Gristlebrand banned. And if that is true and not a myth, they're doing a pretty gosh darn good job of it. As this looks like the best Gristlebrand deck by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah, this is the best one I've seen so far. But yeah, it'd be very interesting to see whether or not WotC takes notice and says, you know what, this deck is way too powerful. And certainly from everything that we've seen so far, seems like the case. But again, I mean, Jacob did actually lose in the Swiss to Huey Jensen playing Show and Tell.
Not bad having your one loss be a future Hall of Famer.
And to be honest, all of the matches that we've been seeing Jacob on camera have been pretty one-sided because his opponent has no islands in his deck. There are basically these non-interactive decks, like a Smallpox deck and now a Dredge deck. So you would expect Tin Fins to just beat up on these types of decks. So again, the real test will be if Jacob is able to beat the Dredge opponent and then face a Show and Tell opponent next round. You know, if he's able to again be as explosive and as dominating in that game, then sure, I'll say that Tin Fins is the real deal. But I don't think we've seen Jacob really tested just yet.
We see game 2 begin underway here. Jacob has taken a mulligan of 6. He's kept his hand, but he is being targeted by Unmasked by Jason. We figured he may sideboard these in, as we do see Jacob's hand here of Lotus Petal, 2 of them in fact, along with a Tendrils of Agony, a Ponder, a Thoughtseize, and a Polluted Delta. So not the most explosive hand here, but Ponder can certainly bring some things together. As Patrick Sullivan would say, the straw that stirs the drink.
And yeah, it looks like Ponder's probably the card to take here, which is exactly what Jason does.
Now, one thing I was wondering about this deck, Osip, is if it can win if it actually ends up discarding Tendrils of Agony. You know, it can certainly win with, you know, Gristlebrand, Emrakul, what have you, but it seems like, you know, actually having to discard Tendrils of Agony might be a little bit problematic. See how it shuffles it back into the deck, but I guess you can probably shuffle it back in with Emrakul, I would assume.
Yeah, that's actually what Jacob did in the last match. He actually just Cabal Therapied himself, discarding the Emrakul.
Okay.
And just started shuffling his deck again, and you get to a point where you can actually just set up what the top 8 cards of your deck are, and just cast the Emrakul.
Gotcha.
And that's exactly what it did. You could just keep cycling your Lotus Petals and your Dark Rituals, and just get to a point where you're just drawing 7 cards each time.
So we see from Jason the Unmask. He gets the information, and then he Cabal Therapies Jacob and names the Lotus Petals. So he gets 2 of those. So the Cabal Therapy from many moons ago. The Sniper put out a little bit of information there as well. So Jacob just plays Polluted Delta and pass. You see Jason going to move down to 18. You see a Sun Titan in his hand, and you see a Faithless Looting. He's probably going to get that Sun Titan over in the graveyard now.
So a little old school play of unmask you then therapy you.
Yeah.
Big fan. So he discards 2 Dredge Enablers and looks to be in pretty good shape. You know, a timely Unmask and Cabal Therapy kind of definitely slows down Jacob enough that maybe Jason could start getting some action going. But, you know, the thing is, he's still got to be afraid of that Surgical Extraction, which Jacob can still draw at any time to sort of put a wrench in Jason's plans. But again, Jacob, I believe, just has Tendrils, and can't see what else is in there. But
we see dredging of a Gary Grave Troll here, turning over 2 Unmasked Narcomoeba, and a few Dredgers there, and a Careful Study in Jason's graveyard. He does have a Faithless Looting along with a Cabal Therapy to flash back via the Narcomoeba. He also has a Stinkweed Imp down there as well. So we'll see if he has a 3rd land to flash back that Faithless Looting to move into Overdrive or not, as he's fanning out his graveyard, getting an idea of what he's got. But he's just going to pass the turn back, it looks like. Nothing he really cares about Cabal Therapying. Just see a Polluted Delta here from Jacob. Dark Ritual in his hand, and he is just going to pass back. A Dredge of 6 from Jason's going to reveal a Dark Blast, a Stinkweed Imp, a City of Brass, an Undiscovered Paradise, a Cephalid Coliseum, and a Flamekin Zealot. So no Bridge from Below's just yet.
yeah, and those Dredge Enablers are starting to clog up his hand now. Not sure how many Dredge cards he has left inside. It looks like 1 Stinkweed Imp at least. But really needs to start hitting the bridges in another Narcomoeba.
You see Jacob is going to search out an Underground Sea here with the Polluted Delta. Still on Jason's turn here. He hasn't made an attack yet with Narcomoeba, so we'll see if maybe he does have a Surgical Extraction in his hand. Maybe he drew into. Maybe he wants to break up something here. We'll find out. As the sacrificing there is a little strange, but okay. It's just passing the turn back, and now we'll see a Ponder here.
It looks like there's a Cabal Therapy. Looks like he's just shuffling all that. Oh no, he is keeping it. And is that another Ponder?
Yeah, I think he cooked another Ponder and just cleared it away with that fetch land, the other 2 cards.
Yeah, and despite the turn 1 Mask, turn 1 Cabal Therapy on Lotus Petal, Jacob's still in pretty good shape because, Jason's just not putting any pressure on him.
Yeah, his dredges really haven't been that good.
Yeah, I mean, at any point, Jacob's really only digging for 2 cards. Or, he could always just draw the Surgical Extraction. And again, Surgical Extraction on Bridge from Below is pretty huge against Jason's particular build. So, 2 Ponders here is going to let Jacob set up his deck pretty smoothly. We see a Grizzlebrand there, which is unlike. He looks like he's got a Goryo's Vengeance as well. We know at least he has a Dark Ritual in his hand. Can't make out the other cards, but again, Jacob's still in pretty good shape here, just because Jason's draw, Jason's dredges has been pretty bad, and not really giving him a lot of action.
And you do see Jacob does keep the Grizzlebrand in his hand. He's going to turn over a Bridge from Below, a Cabal Therapy, a City of Brass, a Cephalid Coliseum, and a Golgari Grave Troll off that Dredge 5 of Stinkweed Imp.
Yeah, and again, now the bridge is a live target. But the thing is, again, with the Dredge deck, when it gets a Lion's Eye Diamond, it looks amazing. But without a Lion's Eye Diamond, you get to these situations where if you don't have a Dredge enabler like Putrid Imp, it's hard for you to really keep enabling the dredges sometimes, and we saw that before. But Jason's doing a good job of hitting it, but he's just not getting enough action to put enough pressure on Jacob.
And now you see Jason is going to flashback Cabal Therapy. He's going to get a zombie token from the Bridge from Below that he did dredge in his draw step this turn. We'll find out what he's going to name. He's got a little bit of information on what's in Jacob's hand from a prior Unmask, and he is going to name Shallow Grave. So you see Jacob's hand of Thoughtseize, Dark Ritual, Grizzlebrand, and Tendrils of Agony. Quite the hand. A little bit strange one there, but... I mean, that's part of what's playing this deck. The pieces are a little bit strange, but once they do come together, as you saw game 1, it is one heck of a ride, and it does kill the opponents very, very quickly. Thoughtseize is quite the bad one in his hand right now, though. Can be good on turn 1 to snag a Careful Study.
Or a Lion's Eye Diamond.
Or a Lion's Eye Diamond or something like that. But again, remember that he can target himself with that, and you are going to see a Dark Ritual. And what we might see here is we might see him Thoughtseize himself.
And he drew a Shallow Grave, so actually perfect.
Yep. And you see him point to himself.
Yeah, so, you're going to see the same thing you saw last game. Looks like Grizzlebrand's going to go into the graveyard off the Thoughtseize, and now Shallow Grave will target the Grizzlebrand.
And it might be time for Fireworks yet again. And keep in mind, he got unmasked on turn 1, hit with a Cabal Therapy that took out 2 cards, and it kind of sucks for Jason that he didn't do very much this game. But Jacob, I don't feel like he did a ton. He did cast a Gataxian Probe and Ponder twice, and now he's looking to kill his opponent now. And he's been targeted with 3 discard spells.
Yeah, well, it's a 2-card combo that costs 3 mana, so it's going to be hard for you to prevent your opponent from drawing it. Just because, it's only 2 cards, and he has cards like Ponder, and again, there's just a lot of, he has Brainstorm in his deck as well. Gataxian Probe will, it's a cantrip, but again, it's a very consistent deck because of the fact it's only 2 cards, 3 mana, and it looks here like, it looks like he has enough now to just attack him for 7 and use a Tendrils to finish him off.
We'll see if he can get the storm count high enough, as we are going to see him play a Scrubland, and now we're going to see Children of Kolos. I'm going to gain a bunch of life. This time I'm not going to do it incorrectly. I'm going to gain all that life back. Bridge from Below is going to bite the dust, a little salt in the eye there from the Children of Kolos. And Jacob's going to get 14 life back. Actually going to get more than 14 because Thoughtseize was 2 of it.
And then and he actually drew 21 cards because he attacked with the Grizzlebrand as well. So it looks like he might gain 23 life this turn.
Well, it looks like his life total is 20 now. So, I mean, his life total is changing quite a bit. We'll get confirmation of where it's at. But again, I'm not quite sure that it's going to matter a ton.
It's going to be much higher after he casts the Tendrils of Agony.
Yeah.
So, at this point, I believe he should be able to get enough cards to basically, it looks like I saw Lotus Petal in there too. We know he has a Ritual, so yeah, it looks like it's just a matter of time before Jason is dead.
Yeah, and you see a Dark Ritual here. We'll see exactly where the Storm count is at, but it only needs to get up to 6 here, and we've already cast a Thoughtseize and a Shallow Grave, a Dark Ritual, and a Children of Kolos, so we're at around 4, maybe more.
Yeah. Shallow Grave, Thoughtseize, Shallow Grave, Children of Kolos, Dark Ritual. He's randomly casting Reanimate to gain the life back.
This is ridiculous.
So he's going to draw a bunch more cards. So yeah, at this point, as long as he's able to get 4 mana, he'll have enough spells to kill with the Tendrils, which we know he already has in his hand.
Yep, been there the whole time. So he's going to gain those lost life points back yet again. You didn't think you'd see Children of Kolos in Legacy.
That is not a card I expected to see ever again.
It's not what I drew up when I flew to this tournament on Thursday.
Looks like he's counting the number of cards he has left in his library. I think he has enough for 1 more activation of Grizzlebrand. And again, probably just needs a Chrome Mox here.
I wonder what it's like just to have like your deck in your hand.
Yeah.
Just going, I think I can figure it out.
Well, earlier we saw him basically, he had his deck in his hand and he just set it aside because there was only 8 cards that he needed, so he just kept recycling those 8 cards over and over again.
Sure. You're going to see a Lotus Petal here. We saw a Chrome Mox in his hand as well. And you're going to see a Dark Ritual. Going to move up. And you see Jason extending the hand, I think. Here you see the Tendrils and the hand and a Shake. Jacob Kory with Tin Fins, the new kid on the block. I hope you are paying attention at home if you are a fan of Legacy.
I hope Aaron Forsyth is watching.
Yes, that would be good. MTG Aaron on Twitter. We may have a problem on our hands. As
sound the alarm.
Yeah, as those games were pretty decisive. Being Unmasked, Cabal Therapy hitting 2 Lotus Petals, a Cabal Therapy hitting again on a flashback off a Narcomoeba,